I'm Lisa Curcio, and I would love to welcome you here to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Today is Monday. It is February 13th. The year is 2023, and we are streaming live right here on YouTube. Whether this is your first time visiting me or perhaps you're here watching again, I'm thrilled you've come by because tonight I have a fun fold for you that has lots of hidden features. In addition to this, it has an exquisite wedding theme to it. But you can use this for anniversaries, showers, as well as invitations. Heck, you can use it for anything. You're gonna love this fun fold. And I've got a little twist on it for you too that I'm gonna share with you. In addition to that, I have some techniques and tips that I cannot wait to share with you about this project. Now tonight, I wanna give you a couple of things that you need to know before we start the live stream. First and foremost, we would love to interact with you. So make sure you log into your YouTube account, which requires your Gmail address. That's going to allow you to chat if you're here in the live stream, or perhaps you'd like to leave a comment if you're watching the replay. I come back and I read every single one. Your feedback is very important to me. You're also going to need to know about the free project sheet. Yes, I have pictures, cutting dimensions, and supplies of not just the card I'm demonstrating tonight, but the two other samples I'm going to share with you. And I have a bonus for you tonight that I'm going to throw in there as well. Tonight's cards are really beautiful, and I know you're going to want that fun fold. When the live stream is over, that link will be down in the video description below. Finally, I want to introduce you to tonight's moderator. You'll see her name in blue. It is Gina Curcio Hawley. You might recognize that surname. Gina is my daughter. She's the sales and marketing director here at Lisa's Stamp Studio and an avid card maker. She is more than happy and capable of answering your questions. She'll be providing links for you as well because there's no way I can keep up while you're here in the live chat. Do me a favor. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, when tonight's video is over, do me a favor and click that thumbs up button, which means a like, and subscribe by hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon and the word all. That way YouTube is going to send you reminders when I'm live here so you don't miss out. All right, and we're going to do a live Q&A at the end, so stick around for those instructions. We're ready to get started. Let's head over to the table. All right, we're going to start with some scoring. I'm going to start by telling you first and foremost that this card has multiple pieces to it. Now I've got to do something really rude, sorry, but for some reason there's been an update on my software that we stream from and it doesn't bring your comments to the bottom, so I'm behind, seriously. My paper trimmer is sold in my online store as well as all the other products you're going to see me use tonight. I love this trimmer because it includes both the scoring and the cutting blade. They stay right here on that clear mat. They navigate up and down out of the way. There's a straight ledge here at the top. There's also one here at the bottom because I can't do anything straight, and that's really important. Now we're going to be using a cardstock here you don't always see me use, and I'm so sorry this doesn't pick up on camera. This is shimmery white cardstock, and I love it for several reasons. First of all, it's got some glitz and glam, so definitely a specialty paper. You can watercolor on this like a champ. So if you don't have watercolor paper, consider the shimmery white, also in my online store. The great thing about this is when you watercolor on it, that shimmer still comes through. It's beautiful. And here's another reason why I like it. This is basic white, this is shimmery white. Do you see the color tone difference? That's going to be important tonight as we proceed through the card. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out to you. So this is the first portion of the fun fold. So this is 5.5 by 11. I will not be going through every single cutting dimension with you because they're all in the project sheet. We are going to start by scoring at 4 inches. So I'm going to line that up here at the 4-inch mark, and I'm going to use that straight edge here to my advantage. We'll close that track, and then we're going to score. I am going to open up the extendable arm here. Can't live without this, and this is fantastic for all of you who are scrapbookers because we're going to go up to 17 inches here. Plenty of room for your paper. Now this last score line's a little funky, but it's easy. It's 8 1/16, and if you're wondering where that is, on this trimmer, it's the 8 and that first little tiny notch right after it, and then I'm all the way here on your right of your camera, just making sure I'm lined up, and we are going to score. All right, that's it for this piece. I'm going to put that trimmer off to the side. You're going to see one side has been scored a little shallower than the other. So let's go up on this, and we're going to crease on that score line. Check those edges, make sure they're nice and even. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Now this one's a little bit bigger, and it's going to go towards the center. And you're going to notice because of that mark, It doesn't go all the way to the score line. That's going to be very, very important. Now the next thing I'm going to do is going to start by decorating it. So let's work first on this outside layer here. And I've got some designer series paper. Isn't this absolutely stunning? This comes from Abigail Rose, and like all the Stampin' Up! Designer series papers, they are double-sided, giving you lots of options. So one side fits the theme, the other side is generic. You can use it all year round, and heck, you can even use that for masculine cards. Now we are going to layer this on basic black cardstock. Now if you're visiting my channel for the first time, you may not know this, but I absolutely love black with anything. It is classy, classy. So if you are struggling on a color combination, pick one color and black and you are always safe. So I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet. I'm going to flip that upside down and I'm going to add my Stampin' Seal Plus. Now this stuff is crazy, crazy strong. I don't have to use it excessively, but I love to use it with my silicone craft sheet. The reason is I get a little zealous when I get that adhesive going. If it ends up here on my table, I am going to fight that sticky spot the whole time I'm crafting, which is so frustrating. So I'm looking to keep that even margin all the way around. And you'll notice how I turned it horizontally. That's much easier for me visually than trying to do it vertically. This piece now is going to go over here. Now this is why I love the shimmery white. Do you see how beautiful this coordinates versus this? It matches a lot better, doesn't it? Like I said, it also has great watercoloring capabilities. This now is going to go on this side of my card. So let's go ahead and let's add our adhesive here. And again, like I said, it's really strong, so I don't have to go crazy. If yours has a direction, be cognizant if you're going to turn it horizontally like I am, because I can't do anything straight. I do like to open this up because it allows me a contrasting color underneath, which makes it easier for me to try to get that really pretty border. And then we'll add that here. We are going to open this up and we're going to actually turn this into something. So on this layer, I want to decorate it. And for this, I have a piece of designer series paper once again. Now you're going to notice the pattern is different, but it's the same colors. It's from the same package. So I'm going to start by adhering that here. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. There's that wrong side. Look at that old ledger paper. Isn't that fun? How many of you like those old kind of shabby chic mixed media, multimedia projects? I know I do. Again, I'm going to open this up to make it easy for my hand, laying it on something that's going to give me a contrasting background so I can try to center that border the best I can, and we'll tack those down. Now what we're going to need to do next is going to require a little bit of liquid glue, which always here in the studio makes me shriek just a little bit because I am really messy with liquid glue. So what I like to do is I like to take my multi-purpose liquid glue, which is sold in my online store, and I like to put it into my precision tip glue applicator. This is not in my online store. This is not a Stampin' Up! Product. However, I have it linked for you on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites. The tip on this is just too big. It's too wide. The glue comes out too quickly for what I'm going to need to do next. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to leave this edge right on top of the silicone craft sheet. And we are going to add liquid glue. Now the rubber band's there to help hold that little nozzle down if I'm doing a lot of gluing. I like to shake it down because it is rather thick, but look how tiny you can make those dots. Is that just not amazing? So we're going to come down and we are going to drag that needle, which means I'm going to get a nice thin layer of liquid glue, and you want it as close to the edge as possible. So we're kind of making a backwards L here. So I'm going down that right side and across the bottom. Like I said, this glue is very, very strong, so I'm not worried about going crazy with it and making sure that it oozes all over the place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press to remain contact between the front and the back of this card. So I'm just going to push that in place. Now while that sits for a second, let's talk about this. Nothing worse than a gunky tip. So use your silicone craft sheet to clean that off, and then use that little silicone lid that comes with this. And you're going to store this straight up and down on your work surface. I cannot live without that. All right, so now we've got this, but I need to make a notch in here because what I'm looking to do now is to actually turn this into a pocket. Remember, there's going to be additional pieces here. Now, you could use the layering circles dies, but I happen to have one of my old retired punches. This is the 1 1/2 inch circle punch. Obviously, you can use whatever you'd like. What I like to do, because I don't do anything straight, like I said, I'm looking for my little craft pencil, which all you have told me how much you love this. I got it linked for you in my craft room favorites as well. I'm looking visually between here and here, and I'm just going to make a little mark on where I think the halfway point is. Just nice and simple. Because I'm going to turn this upside down to make it easy for my hand, because we're going to flip this over and we're going to use the punch. I am looking for that pencil mark. I'm looking to make that as centered as I possibly can, and I'm looking for space here and here to see if they're about equal. And then once you're happy with it, we're just going to punch. Now you got to squeeze hard because you're going through 2 layers of cardstock and a little bit of designer series paper. I never recommend a punch through 2 layers of cardstock. Typically, if you're punching the whole thing, it's too thick. Punches are not made for that. All right, so now that we've got this, we're good to go. But let's talk about this other layer that we are going to need. All right, so let's move over to another piece of cardstock here, and I'm going to go back to the trimmer. And again, we've got another piece of shimmery white cardstock. Now you'll see that I scored this ahead of time, but I want to go over that score mark with you. Very simple. This is 4.5 by 7, and we are going to score it right down the center at 3.5 inches. Okay, so I've got that here. We're going to fold this in half. Now this one's going to be a little bit different than the other ones in that we are going to work backwards, which means the crease is going to be on the right versus the left. I know that sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? But that's what we're going to do. There's a panel I'm going to add to the front of this. Oh, and this is one of the techniques I want to teach you if you haven't already learned it once before. Now I've got a piece of basic black cardstock here, and you'll recall my saying, I love black with anything. Now because the card base itself already had a sufficient amount of designer series paper, I was kind of stuck for a background. I wanted this to provide an emphasis but not steal away from this gorgeous paper. So I had a fantastic idea. All right, very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to grab my small grid paper, so that's going to help protect my work surface, and I'm going to bring in a stamp that closely mimics my designer series paper, because if you're like me, you don't always have it all, right? We want it all, but we don't always have it all. So I'm bringing in this, Happiness Abounds, and I love it because there are different roses in here, and of course a different flower. You can use this for lots of things, but this is what I was going after. A very simple outline to mimic my designer series paper. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to use some Versamark ink. Now, Versamark ink can be used for several different things. It creates tone on tone, which means a watermark on regular colored cardstock. Now on black, it's not noticeable, obviously, but I decided if we emboss this in clear embossing powder, it's going to be a real wow. So we're going to go ahead and get all this ready to do that. Now, the very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to prepare that work surface with the embossing buddy. This is part of the embossing tool additions kit. I'm going to rub it gently on my cardstock. Now, some of you are already thinking, well, how's that going to work, Lisa? Because there's a powder in there and that's black cardstock. Don't fret, we'll get to that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the little tidy tray that comes part of that embossing tool kit. It's right here. And I have my clear embossing powder. I get asked this all the time. Where did you get those snap containers? I got them linked for you in my craft room favorites because I really can be quite messy. I need to make sure the lid is locked. So this one does. I like to make sure that I put it in the tidy tray. Helps to contain all the powder. Make sure the ceiling fan isn't on high. I just lowered it to make sure. And I love to use a plastic spoon. A lot of you use wooden spoons, that's fine. I find that once this is yucky, I can just throw it away and I can dedicate a spoon to each different colored powder. This container has about 4 bottles of the Stampin' Up! Clear embossing powder in it. That's another question I get asked an awful lot. All right, we're all prepared to go. I am not going to do the whole thing because I have one that's already finished for you, but let's do a couple so that you can see how this works. We've got everything close by. We're ready to roll. Here's your stamp. Here's the Versamark ink. This is a very tacky ink. So you're going to ink up your stamp and you are going to stamp. And I'm going to do a couple images at a time, but you don't want to do so many that that ink dries because that is going to be critical that it's wet in order to get the powder to stick. So there's that spoon acting like my little spatula. And then we are going to tap off the excess. Now, if I have a little area here that I need to, I can go ahead and use that. Or this, take your pick tool and use that little needle tip and pick up those small areas. Do you see it here? Once it's powdered, it's easy to see, right? Well, just for the sake of the video, let's pretend I've covered the whole thing. I'm gonna let that sit for 1 second. You wanna make sure you always clean your stamp. I'm doing that off camera. Versamark is a tacky ink, like I said, and then I am very carefully gonna go ahead and I am going to snap that shut and put that off to the side. What we're gonna do now is we're going to heat set. So this is where the heat tool comes into play. The Stampin' Up! Embossing tool, the heat tool, is a fantastic thing. I love it. Vents down here at the bottom, don't cover those up. Really important for the ventilation. It has a retractable stand, which is fantastic in case you're storing it or traveling. Encased tip is going to ensure that once this gun gets hot, it's going to help retain the heat. So that if you do multiple cards at the same time, it's going to be lickety-split. 2 speeds. Speed 1 if you'd like to dry your cardstock with watercoloring or perhaps vellum. Speed 2 to set the powder. Now I'm going to turn it on. It's going to be louder, but I know you can hear me. I'm going to get that gun going. I'm going to pick up my cardstock. My hand is here near the bottom, and I'm going to work fairly close to the paper, but you're going to notice I like to keep the gun moving. Like I said, heavy-handed always, not just with the glue, but also with the heat tool. You don't want to burn or scorch the paper. That's very, very important. But as this turns, what's going to happen is it's going to go kind of to black, and now it's going to turn glossy. Look at that. Let me just finish up this one flower so that you get an idea of what this is going to look like, and then I'll show you the finished one. You want to make sure that you don't miss a spot. Boy, have I done that. If you miss a spot, guess what's going to happen? It's going to rub right off. So you need to make sure it's completely coated. Embossing powder can often leave a residue on your work surface. And if you're like me, you don't want that in your ink pads. So let's grab ourselves one of your Swiffer sheets, and I cut it in half. And I'm just going to go right over my work surface to pick up all that little grit. Now, if you don't have a Swiffer, here's another tip for you. You can use this. This is a sticky roller. I know, crazy. But it picks up all those little tiny pieces off your work surface really quick and really easy. And that's a great tip for you. All right, so here we go. Oh, I wish you were here so you could see it. I'm trying to get the camera to pick it up, and it's really hard, isn't it? There we go. We got a little bit of there. Isn't that pretty? All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to use this on the front of our backwards card. So I'll bring back that silicone craft sheet. I'm going to add some adhesive here to the back side, and then this is going to go here. Keep in mind, if you didn't emboss your layer and you're using designer paper, be cognizant of the direction. That's very, very important. Now, I also need to finish this up. So I decided to use one of my brand new bundles that I love from the mini catalog, and this is called Something Fancy. Now, at first glance, I overlooked this. I'm not going to lie. But I got it, and I have fallen in love with it. And Gina has too, because I bought her one, and she was like, I'm so glad. I really like this. Look at these dies. There's layering different labels and shapes here, and you can turn them into tags. Isn't that cute? And I love the greetings. So I've pulled one of those out, and I've got a piece of, my Memento Black ink pad here. And here is the die. Now, this is also on shimmery white cardstock. And I'm making mine a wedding card. This says, here's to beautiful beginnings and happily ever afters. Let's go ahead and ink that up in the Memento pad. And then I'm going to stamp that right here. I'm praying it's straight because I don't want to get my head in your camera view. Okay? I'm cleaning that stamp off camera. You never want to leave a dirty stamp around, especially because it ends up on other things. This is going to get spruced up a little bit, and I cannot wait to give you a few more tips. The first one is this. This cotton ribbon is amazing. I wish you could feel it. It has a metallic edge on both sides. There is no wrong side to it, which means you cannot mess this up. We are going to take this and we are going to add adhesive here across the back on an angle because we're going to do a little bit of zigzag. I'm going to take my raw end and I'm going to come up here like so, leaving a little bit hanging off. And we're going to come down here on an angle. Remember, it's going to stick to the back. We're going to loop this a little bit. Kind of want to make this fancy. It's going to be for a wedding. And then this one's going to come down here like so, or you can bring it up. I think I want to reposition that a little bit. And that's the great thing about the adhesive. Now I'm going to take my scissors. These are my ribbon scissors. I'm going to cut this on an angle. And I'm going to cut this down just a little bit so it looks a little prettier. And now we've got a little pizzazz. But I'm going to tell you something. We're going to add dimensionals to this. And sure as I'm standing here, I have learned this over my 25 years. When you go to put dimensionals right here in the center where it's all sticky, where that ribbon is, it's going to lift. So I've got a household hack for you that's going to seem so silly, but it's going to work amazing. All you need is a tiny piece of household tape. And I want you to go right over this. What's going to happen is it's not only going to tack that ribbon down, but it's giving you a surface so that you can provide a dimensional here. Remember that your project is going to get mailed. Your card is going to go through that postal meter at the post office. You want to make sure that everything comes out looking like you made it. And if those are not well balanced on the back of here, they come out all backwards and lopsided. So here we go. We're going to add this here, but we're not done because the next part is my favorite. This is just scrap leftover of the designer series paper where I had done some die cutting. And I have fallen in love with this punch as well. This is the Petal Park Builder Punch. And you're going to see why it's called a builder because there's numerous images on one punch. 4 punches in one, you can't beat this. Watch what we're going to do. We are going to bring this inside of here. It doesn't even matter where the pattern lines up. I'm aiming just for the flowers. And I'm going to do a couple of these, okay? You can do as many as you'd like. And just for the sake of tonight's live stream, I'm going to work primarily on one of my bigger flowers. So I'm going to take 2 of the large one of the medium, and one of the small. I have another one already ready. And it's a Monday. Anybody else have a Monday and you're just stressed out? You're going to love this project. I want you to take those designer series paper flowers and I want you to crunch them up. Great project for the kids as well. Okay, so we've got them all crunched up here. In fact, you can very carefully unfold them and crunch them some more. We are after a worn, time-worn, kind of shabby chic look because wait till I show you what we're going to do with these. All right, now that we've got these kind of crunched up, I think you get the idea. Let's come in now with the silicone craft sheet and we are going to build this. Once again, you can use your needle tip or you can use the regular one for this, but you're going to put a dab of glue right here in the center. And I've got a petal that's kind of in the back, so let's bring that forward. And I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to offset those petals just a little bit. I'm going to push right here in the middle. Now we're going to go to the next bigger flower, which is here, and we're going to put a little glue here. I'm telling you, this little technique I'm going to teach you is a game changer for your projects, and it's not just for your cards. Wait until you see when it's done. And then I think I just need one of these small ones. And then we're going to add this one with that print side up. That's important. Make sure they're all going the same way. And then this one is going to go right here in the center. And you're going to push. Again, you're going to wipe off your tip. Now you're going to need to give that just a couple seconds to dry. And when it does, we're going to do one more thing to it. We are going to bring in the Pierce mat. Now I have this in my online store as well. And a lot of you don't get it. And then when I show you what you can do with it, you're like, oh, I should get it. You need this. If you're stamping large photopolymer images and you have arthritis like I do in my hand, this is fantastic to put your paper on and stamp. You get a much crisper image. But there's another thing I like it for. Here's the Take Your Pick tool. This dials out if you didn't know. And it comes with an attachment. This is a dual-ended stylus tool. This is going to go inside of here, and then we're going to lock that in place. Love that putty tip, picks up all those little sequins and small pieces. Here on the Pierce mat, watch what I'm going to do. I am going to press and I'm going to twist, and it's going to bring this flower to life. All of a sudden, you've got a 3D look. This now is going to work with the little partner that I made before you joined me, and that's going to go on top of here. So let's go ahead and let's take that glue once again. I like to place my pieces out first, so let's go ahead and put this one here. And we're going to use a little bit bigger glue dot because obviously that's going to hold that big flower. Don't worry if it looks a little smashed. And then I think I'm going to put this one over here next to it. And then we'll add that one here. Again, those are going to need a few seconds to dry, wiping off that needle tip. I'm telling you, if you take care of your things, they're going to last you forever. While that dries, I'm going to dial this back because I need to use this other end because you know me, I can't do a card without an embellishment. So I've got some rhinestones here. And I'm going to work here at the bottom with one of the larger ones. That Take Your Pick tool, that paper piercing tool attachment is like my best friend. That helps me pick those up. They do have glue dots already on the back. And of course, you know, you can go crazy with yours and add as many as you'd like. But I'm pretty happy with 2. Do you remember this part here? Okay, we are going to do one thing before we adhere this piece. Remember, we made a pocket here. So I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm very carefully going to come in and I'm going to loosen up this pocket. Remember, we adhered it here and here, so it's a little tight. And you know, cardstock has a tendency to break down with use. So your card might be just a tad tight when you first use it. Don't worry. We're going to do the pocket next. This is going to get adhered here in the center. Again, crease is on the right. So I'm going to come back here to that silicone craft sheet and wait until you see these other samples that I've got for you tonight. I have a bonus card plus 2 others that are going to be with this one inside your project sheet. I am using a generous amount of adhesive this time on purpose. This component is going to move. So I'm looking to center this between the top, the bottom, and the sides. And the thing I want you to look at is this crease line. You want this to be as visually straight as possible because when this comes inside of it, it's going to be noticeable and it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a good push. And here comes my brave move because I didn't do it beforehand. I've got the words congratulations. This is from a special stamp set. Now, some of you might recognize where it's from. This is from a stamp set called Charming Sentiments. It is in the annual catalog. It actually has coordinating dies with it that die cut the shape of the words. This was my $1 million stamp set I designed, and I'm having so much fun with it. In case you don't know, I have a free digital download for you on my website that coordinates the dies to the text that goes right inside your die case to make it easy for you when you're die cutting these. But I wanted that straight, simple font for this one. All right, now let's talk about the insert. I've cut a piece of black cardstock here, and you're thinking, black? And that's because this time, I'm going to put a gift card with mine. So I'm going to put a little smidgen of my Stampin' Seal Plus here on the back. Remember, this is crazy strong. I'm going to tack it right here in the middle towards the top. Plenty of room for you to sign, so you don't have to worry about that. This is going to go inside the pocket like so. Again, trying to keep my head out of your camera view. There you go. I made sure that this pocket had plenty of give for you. And then when you get this down inside, and of course, because you're watching me, my pocket is tight and it won't fit down inside. That just figures. Okay, here we go. I might have cut this one just a little bit too long. So you know what? When all else fails, you go back to the one you made that's in the project sheet. There we go. And I took the gift card out because I actually attached it to this one. Your cutting dimensions in your project sheet are correct. I must just cut this one just a tad too long. But again, this is going to come in and this is going to go over like this. So here is the card we just made together, and the one that's in your project sheet. You're going to see that those are identical. But wait until you see these other cards. I'm really happy with them. So I did a Google search. Before I show you these, I have to tell you I did a Google search on the top 5 wedding colors for 2023. If you're my age, you're going to be shocked. It's all about earth tones, okay? So this is the bonus one. This is not inside your project sheet. Again, the taupes and the earthy colors are really in. Crumb Cake cardstock made it very, very simple. This is the exact same package of designer series paper that I did this one in, Abigail Rose, just a different color. Identical, except here. Do you see what I did? I added some ribbon for the pullout. Now here's why this would be a fantastic invitation. There is plenty of room to put printed information in here. Printed information in here. You can even add another pocket if you want to. I mean, you cannot go wrong with this. This is gorgeous. Great for those special anniversary celebrations as well. So these two are definitely in the color palette for 2023 for the brides. And believe it or not, so is this one. The cranberries and the blushes. That blush is not going anywhere just yet. So this is Blushing Bride, and this is Mary Merlot. I use that double heart punch here. Isn't this pretty? I want to show you where this comes from. This is from the bundle called True Beauty. Very abstract watercolor images, and it has coordinating designer series paper called Awash in Beauty. There you go. And then here are the dies. Lots of fun things you can do with those that created this card. So you'll see this is not nearly as fancy, but definitely picking up all those popular wedding colors. And then this one opens like this. So I added some more die cuts here. Do you see what I did here too? I actually took half of that circle punch and made part of a notch there. So we can stick a few little words there at the top. It says with love. And then again, your at-home gift card, because who doesn't love to shop there, right? So we've got another one, wishing you a happily ever after. And my last one, okay, I'm just going to go on record and saying I am typically not a green girl, okay? But I fell in love with this card. But let me show you where it came from. This has been around for a couple years. It's called Forever Fern, and it's stuck around for good reason. It has been immensely popular. Greeneries are not going anywhere, and a great stamp set for the guys if you like to make masculine cards. You can buy the coordinating Forever Flourishing dies. They are sold separately. They are no longer available as a bundle since it's been carried over a couple times. But are you ready for this? Okay, hold on. This is beautiful, isn't it? Another fantastic color combination for the brides in 2023 are all about those evergreens and sages. And this beautiful soft succulent and evening evergreen cardstock is trimmed with some gold foil and some ribbon. I created the closure behind an additional front panel. So let me show you. This is going to untie. Again, you've got pictures and cutting dimensions for this. So I added another panel here to the front because the card now is tucked here closed. So instead of closing it this way, like I did, I left that as a full card, which gives you even more area for an invitation or an announcement. And then I added a panel to the front. That's all tacked here behind this area. And then here we go. And then, of course, another spot for a gift card or, of course, invitation or announcement information. So pretty, huh? I mean, talk about a rid of different colors. I would love to know which one is your favorite. Pop down in the comments right now and let me know. Your feedback is always important to me. All right, I got something I want to go over with you really, really quick, and then we're going to do that live Q&A. Now, if you want to do the live Q&A with me, make sure you do the capital Q and a colon and then your question. I can filter them out here towards the end of the live stream. Now, before you go away, there's a couple things I want to make sure that you know about. We have had an overwhelming response to Studio Stamp memberships. Oh my gosh, hundreds and hundreds of you have signed up. And some of you are like, what is it? So I'm going to go over it for you really, really quickly. These are projects that I have created that are not sold or shared anywhere, okay? They are exclusively for the membership. Ready for this? It's $5 for the entire month, and every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you're going to get an email with a tutorial. And here's the best part. The photographs are not watermarked, and there's a tutorial there for you to copy and use. You have my permission to take those as inspiration for classes, workshops. You can case them, you can redistribute them for business use however you want. Some of you teach classes at assisted living facilities or at hospitals for the nurses who are off duty. Some of you are Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, and it doesn't matter what country you live in. You can sign up. $5 a month comes right to your inbox. Again, these are exclusive projects for you. Now, I want to give you the date for the next live stream. I am going to be back with you next Monday, which is February 20th already. I don't even know where 2023 has started to go off, and it hits really quick, hasn't it? But I've got an amazing project for you, so I hope you're going to mark your calendar. Head over to lisastampstudio.com, click on shop, and you're going to see all about my exclusive ordering rewards. While you're there, you can check out my very vast PDF tutorial library. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the word subscribe. And you're going to want to do that because I send you a free weekly e-newsletter every Thursday. And inside there is a free tutorial that you can receive. That's not shared on any of my other platforms. All right, I look forward to seeing the rest of you with me on Monday. For those of you that are staying with me for the live Q&A, I'm going to be looking for your questions. This is the informal part. You're going to see me push all those pretty cards off to the side and grab my computer mouse. And I am going to filter so I can bring up your questions and answer them for you here live. So just give me a moment where you see the side of my head, and we'll go ahead and we will filter that. Okay, the first one is from Pamela Patrick. Okay, let me bring you up here on the screen because I'd love to be able to feature your question. My blends, she means her Stampin' Blends alcohol markers, are drying out on the bullet end. Why? I store them horizontally. Question number one, how often are you using that color? If it's a color you're using quite often, I want to make sure that you understand that these alcohol-based markers with Stampin' Up! Are a consumable product. At this price point, they are intended to run dry and for you to replace them. They are not refillable. Much different than the other alcohol markers that are out on the market that are a lot more costly. So keep that in mind. It's not uncommon for that to happen. If your marker's brand new and it's dried out, you need to let me or your demonstrator know, because that means it's defective and we can get you a new one. Please remember that Stampin' Up! Can do exchanges for you within 90 days of the purchase date. We do need your order number to do that. So Pamela, let me know and I'll be happy to help you. All right, we're moving on to the next question. Cindy asks a question we get all the time. How do you transfer the green glue to the needle point container? Okay, hold on. Believe it or not, we do get asked this all the time. So the green glue, as I told you, which is the multi-purpose liquid glue. My bottle's kind of gunky from all the glue. It's very thick. You're going to unscrew this like you would a ketchup bottle or a shampoo bottle. And you are literally going to leave it straight up and down on your work surface. Tap this, squeeze, tap, squeeze. It takes patience. Tap the air bubbles out, replace this, store this straight up and down. This is the same glue bottle I filled 2 years ago. Because of the silicone cap, it's not going to dry out. So you're going to have to take your time to fill it, but it works fine. Just like you would a shampoo bottle or ketchup. Just take your time and twist and tap, and that should work for you with no problem. So thank you for asking that. All right. Joe Phillips, could you show sometime how to find the cutting information? I think you're referring to the free project sheet. All right. I'm going to explain it to you visually. If you email me and you're having trouble, I can send you picture instructions. Are you ready? Right below the video title to this video is what we call, or YouTube calls, the video description. You can click on where it says see more or read more, and it's going to expand the text. And about a quarter of the way down, it's going to say cutting dimensions, and you can click on the link that's there that leads you over to my website and just scroll till it says download project sheet. I mean, it's really, really simple. Another tip for you, the title of this video is also the exact same title as my blog post. So if you were to copy the title here from YouTube and put it into your browser and search, you're going to be able to see both the video and the blog post and get all the information that you need. I hope that helps. All right, and let me scroll down here. Okay, Myrtle says, where can we sign up for the monthly tutorials that are exclusive? Now you're referring to the Stamp Studio memberships. Just right over on my website, there is a red menu bar and the word memberships. All you have to do is click on it. Everything is there. There's even an FAQ at the very bottom. Just scroll through there. We would love to have you join us. Kayla is asking the most cute question. Kayla, I know you're not in the US because of the way you spelled color, and I love it. Thank you for watching from abroad. What is your favorite color family? That is tough. I already told you I love black with everything, right? But I will tell you that my favorites really are synonymous with the seasons. So I love the brights when it's summer. I love the subtles when it's spring. I know that probably seems cliche, but that's really true. And the great thing about that is it allows me to use every color family all year round. I've had many people ask me, which is your favorite Stampin' Up! Color? And it's going to be real red. That's my favorite color. But I use a lot of crumb cake and calypso coral as well, which tend to be a little happier, aren't they? So maybe the brights if I had to pick one. All right, I can do a couple more. Let's see. I'm waiting. They're scrolling so fast. Bear with me. Okay, hold on. I'm scrolling. You guys are scrolling so quickly. I can only scroll so fast. Bruno Bertucci, my sweet friend. He's asking a question many of you have been emailing about. When is the next online stamping retreat? And if you are not familiar with that, myself and Gina actually partner with Kylie and Bruno Bertucci, who live in Australia. She's the #1 Stampin' Up! Demonstrator there. And we do an online stamping retreat twice a year. The first session is going to be at the end of April. I believe it's April 22nd. Bruno, help me because I don't have my calendar in front of me. Registration will open on April 1st. I'm just going to tell you, my projects are all done, and so are Gina's. I haven't seen Bruno's yet, but I've seen his work at previous retreats. This is over-the-top kind of stuff. You're going to get over 30 projects. You're going to have a full day live event that are all recorded so you can watch them at your convenience if you can't join us live. It is a let your hair down, let's have fun crafting kind of day. We give you preliminary instructions if you want to stamp along with us. And no, you don't have to have what we have. We want you to have fun. Just cut what you got and stamp along with us for fun. And you can stamp at your own pace so you don't feel like you have to keep up with us. You have lifetime access to everything. And are you ready? $45. Can't beat it. We hope that you will go over to onlinestampingretreat.com and make sure that you sign up for interest so that we can let you know when registration opens. All right. I am scrolling. One last question. Okay, Kathy has a question. If you open the large end a little, the glue may flow better than the small tip bottle. I've tried that. I think what you're referring to is this, right? So you've opened up this and this. I don't have a problem with the glue flowing. I have a problem that this is too wide for some of the areas I want to get into. So that needle precision tip works fantastic for me. That's the only difference. I love this product and you can use it on lots and lots of things, but you need little precision areas when you do that glued border here because you want to make sure that it's really narrow. You don't want to impede that opening at all. But that's an excellent question and a great point for someone else who's struggling with that. Thank you so much for asking that question. All right, that's it for tonight. I look forward to having you all join me on Monday. Have a great evening.